Hello, everyone, and welcome to Dialogue Tree Episode 4. I am your host, Sacrabalic, and my head is being cut off by the top because I'm too tall for my green screen. Hey, y'all already know what it is. Welcome to the fourth episode, the episode where I am gonna have a fucking time in this episode, let me tell you, because I have the flu. For surezies have the flu. Also, hit my head on my desk while plugging in my webcam because I keep my webcam unplugged. Haha. And that's a trick for all you out there, so that you don't get spied on by people who like to spy on you. So check that out, I guess. Another thing is I have not slept in over 24 hours. So I'm sick. I'm sick. I hit my head. And I'm fucking exhausted. Anyway, so today's beverage is a nice Black Russian. That's right. We got equal parts vodka, equal parts coffee liqueur, and then I'm gonna be honest, that didn't fill this entire thing up, so I topped it off with a little bit of ice and a little bit of regular coffee with a few spoons of sugar just to get a little, because I learned last time I made a Black Russian, I did that off camera, but I learned last time I made a Black Russian that it kind of tastes a little like shit. So let's give this a little swig. I went a little up my nose. Holy shit. Holy shit. Oh, hold up. I have also a Gatorade Zero to keep me hydrated so I don't get a hangover. I've been sipping at it a while. Wow. That burnt all the way up. So another thing about this is white bottle Gatorade Zero. You know what flavor this is? It's cherry. Gatorade makes no fucking sense. Alright, let's give this another shot. Let's give another shot at this. Yeah, that went all the way up my nose. Let's give another shot at this. Oh my god. That's almost undrinkable. And the sugar did not melt properly. Like, it didn't saturate in the vodka very well. So it actually adds this, like, granules to it. So it's actually kind of harder to drink. Oh, fuck. That's bad. That is bad. That is not good. Now, I will say, theoretically, there's probably about this much coffee in here, and there was only about this full of alcohol, right? So theoretically, most of this is just ice, which should thin out the flavor. So it'll be a little easier going down, but I'm gonna have to double sip. I also have water with me, so that's pretty good. Alright, we're done with that Gatorade. Anyway, that's the opening. Hope you had fun with that. My fucking abject misery. Let's do the content update as consume. Welcome, maid. How are you doing? Welcome to the stream. I thought I was going to have to do this whole thing by myself, and you know what? I was prepared for it. Alright? Alright? If fucking rain or snow or sun or shine, alright? We're getting fucking dialogue tree done on schedule every time. I am done with this coaster, though. When I bought my desk, I bought a bunch of clay coasters. I've never mentioned this ever before, but it was such a good fucking idea because it saves the wood. Fuck yeah, look at that, baby. Alright, so, content update. What is going on with my content? You were playing SMT4. How is that going? I am still playing Digimon World Next Order, Mac Tears viewer request. We're still on that shit. Theoretically, we should be wrapping up with that pretty-ish soon. Because all we need to do is recruit like 11 more Digimon or something like that, and then train up powerful enough Digimon to take on the final boss. So I'm predicting maybe 3 streams maximum on Digimon World Next Order. So that will probably be done in March. And then, of course, everyone knows once we finish off with a game, we have to do Sacking Eternal, which I want to say this is 1993. So that'll be a fun year, 1993, to find out what was worth watching in 1993. Will we make it all the way through 93? Probably, because we are getting to the fact that, like, in the 90s, there was sort of less anime produced than in the 80s because the economy crashed. Boop, pew, 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 pew. Yeah, but there will eventually come to a point where we're going to have to start splitting years in half and such shit like that. Killed Ji Wong Mu, definitely said that right, made it to Ikebukuro. I'm in desperate need for fucking ice demons. I only have Bufala on Flynn, and only ice demon I have is Wendigo. Lucky for me, Ikebukuro has some Yuki Jioru. Jioru? It would be Jioru. It'd be Jioru. Okay, hold on. You can do this. Because the Y would make the O sound, so it would be Jio, it would be Jo, and then Ro. Because the Ro would make the R-O sound, right? So it would be Yuki Jio-Ro. I've literally never heard of this fucking thing. I assume it's a Yuki Onna variant. Or it's the little ice things with the leaves. It's either the little ice things with the leaves, or it's a Yuki Onna variant. It is a Yuki Onna variant. There you go. Excuse me. I would be playing Strange Journey, but I was playing SMT first. I was going to hop on some SMT recently. I was also going to hop on SMT4 recently, but I decided against it after SMT5 got announced. I've been playing SMT stuff. That's totally fine. I'm actually doing the opposite. I was actually considering hopping on SMT4 because I still have that shit on the back burner, but then I was like, you know what? Instead of hopping on SMT4, I'll wait till SMT5 comes out, and I'll just play Vengeance when that drops. The only issue I have with Vengeance... I played SMT1 4, and then I'll do Strange Journey. The only problem I have with Vengeance is that it's got, what is it, a June 21st release date? Which means that it's the same fucking release date as the Elden Ring Erdtree DLC. So I have, like, I don't know, usually there's a month between these releases. So they've just decided to drop at the same time. Like, literally at the same time. So I have no fucking clue what to do there. So I guess I will just figure it out in June what to play. I have picked up the Shadow... I've pre-ordered the Shadow of the Erdtree DLC already. And I have not pre-ordered Vengeance. Ugh. Ugh. What the fuck was I about to say? That fucking Black Russian knocked me on my ass. Pre-ordered Vengeance, I pre-ordered the fucking Steelbook. Yes, I saw you mention that on Discord. I'm getting it on PC, so there's not going to be a Steelbook for me, for sure. The reason I pre-ordered... You might think me pre-ordering Elden Ring would be indicative of the fact that I plan to play Elden Ring first. However, there's two factors to keep in mind. One, Elden Ring is cheaper. Bam, 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 bam. Two, I get emails from Green Man Gaming, which sells keys. It's sort of a key selling website. A legal one, actually, because it works in tandem with the, like, distributors and producers. Not, what the fuck is the word I'm trying to... Not the producers, the marketing team. What's it called when you... The publishers. It works with the publishers to put out the keys. So they are officially licensed keys. It's not some backwater licensing site. Anyway, they occasionally have, like, really weird sales for games that just, like, aren't even out yet. Like, or just, like, newly out. And so Elden Ring was going for, like, 12% off. The email says 14% off, but it was a fucking liar when I got there. It was 12% off. So I actually got it for, like, $5 less, is the thing. So personally, I don't know whether I would play SMT5 first or whether I would play Shadow of the Erdtree. I think I'll have to decide in June. I think it's going to be based on whatever game I've played immediately beforehand, because usually I don't want to double up on action games, but I also don't want to double up on JRPGs. So I guess this will be determined by my pre-June game, which... What's the month before June? May? This is determined by my May game. So, yeah. Planning on playing Deus Ex The Conspiracy on PS2. What the literal fuck is Deus Ex The Conspiracy, and how... What the fuck? That one's not even on Steam. What the fuck is Deus Ex The Conspiracy? What the shit is this? Oh, it's just Deus Ex. Oh, you're just playing Deus Ex 1. Okay. You're playing Deus... Never mind. I totally own that game. I totally own that game. I have played that game. Actually, hold up. I have played that game. I have played the first hour of that game, and I kept dying, so I stopped. And this was probably not... This is not as long ago as you think this was, is the thing. Like, when you hear I kept dying, you probably be like, oh, this was young Sack who couldn't play video games. No, this was fucking adult Sack with a Steam account playing this game, and I just kept fucking eating it. That game is kind of a little brutal. It wants you to invest in stealth. I remember the mission I kept dying on. It was like the first real mission. Like, I think there's the tutorial and then there's the first mission. I kept dying in, like, the first mission, where you have to, like, sneak into, like, a dock or a tower or something, and you have to go around this building, but there's no fucking hiding spots. But you are just, like, Deus Ex 1 is different than, like, fucking Human Revolution or Mankind Divided. You cannot go in guns blazing. You fucking can't. You gotta go in stealth, because you are gonna lose if you try and go in guns blazing, because there's not enough bullets. It has the problem where, like, you're strong enough, but there's not enough bullets. So I was, like, there's no cover, right? So, like, I kept getting detected, and I kept dying, and I was just like, well, fuck this. But, anyway, I have heard about SMT5, though. Back to SMT5. I've heard the worst thing about it is its story. I hear its story's really undercooked. I think the PS2 version is easier from what I heard. Oh, well. I already bought it and I'm not rebuying it, so... but yeah, I hear SMT5 is really undercooked in the story department, so maybe Vengeance fixes that or something. Like, maybe the Vengeance route is, like, the entertaining route and the regular route isn't. I don't know. I've heard it's one of the weaker SMTs. To be fair, SMT stories didn't get really good until Strange Journey. That is fair. That is fair. I've heard people complain about the SMT Apocalypse story, but I don't necessarily trust the opinions of SMT fans, so I'm not sure. Because if I listened to the opinions of SMT fans, I never would have played SMT in the first place. So, I don't know how accurate it is to... That's gonna be every sip. That reaction is gonna happen every sip. Holy shit, that is strong. Oh, that is brutal. That is a brutal fucking sip. Anyway, Yeah, no, Vengeance looks really good though. It might be. It might be just Doi's art style, though, to be entirely honest. Because I look at because an easy way to win me over is the character designs, and I look at that and I'm like, man, this game looks so fucking good. SMT1 has a story. It's very simple, but the game banks mostly on the fact that Tokyo is a cool setting that you want to explore and talk to people in. Is it like an open world, like, sort of game in that? Because Nocturne is very limited. And so Strange Journey, and those are really my only, like, mainline SMTs that I've played. But both of those are very on the rails. Nocturne especially is hilariously on rails. I will never forget that scene where you watch the mannequins die. And the two angels float above, and they're like, ah, yes, now we should go to the next location. Yes, indeed, the next location is where the events are happening. It is one of the most charmingly jank ways to progress a storyline I've ever seen in any video game. It is like fucking like Pokemon early Zelda levels of fucking story jank. Like, to the point where I can't even be like, that's bad storytelling. It's just cute. It's adorable. Nocturne is fucking adorable. Not Strange Journey. Strange Journey is just regular good, but... but anyway, yeah, those two games have just decided to drop on the same fucking day, and that's really obnoxious. What was I saying? Digimon World Next Order. Yeah, well, we should be finishing that next month. The next game we're playing, I think, is Dream Drop Distance, which, frankly, I'm looking forward to a lot more than Digimon World Next Order. Wow, big shocker. I fucking... this sums up most SMT games. Okay, he's not wrong. All right. Anyway, yeah, I looked up getting, I don't think I looked up getting the true ending for, I looked up, like, the secret boss in Dream Drop Distance. It's just some fucking dude. It's like, you get attacked by a Disney character. It looks lame as shit, but the big thing about Dream Drop Distance is, that I'm excited about, is that we won't be playing Digimon anymore. That's my big thing. I want to run around in Apocalypse Setting and kill things. That's the main appeal of SMT. Fair enough. Speaking of, this has nothing to do... This is a little sneak preview of next episode. I saw the release. I've made a post about this on Discord where I bought a bunch of Switch games recently. You might have noticed one of them was called Master Detective Archives Raincoat, which was a game, I believe, published by Spike Chunsoft. Was it not? I believe it was published by Spike Chunsoft. Let's see if I'm right. Detective Archives Raincoat is a 2023 game. Yep, developed by Spike Chunsoft. It is done by the artist of Danganronpa and the writer of Danganronpa. It is a full 3-party Danganronpa reunion. And based on the trailer, I thought it was a sort of like a JRPG game, right? So I've finished Scarlet Nexus. We'll be talking about that on this podcast. Don't worry about that. So I finished Scarlet Nexus, and I was like, man, I just don't want to play an action game. I really want to get into some, like, meat and potatoes, right? I want some crunchy numbers, right? So I sit down for Master Detective Archives Raincoat. I'm like, I'm going to get a JRPG created by the Danganronpa creators. And what I have gotten so far is Danganronpa. It is just Danganronpa. The mechanics are indistinguishable from Danganronpa. There is a cast of characters that all have one unique superpower. And then you use them to solve murder mysteries. Where you have to find solution keys to add to your solution blade that you use to rebut enemy statements inside the mystery labyrinth. It's Danganronpa. It's just straight up Danganronpa. So I've accidentally started playing Danganronpa 4. All I know about Raincoat is my brother watched a playthrough and he said, yeah, no, it's just Danganronpa. It is just Danganronpa. I thought it would be like a Persona, because the trailer makes it look sort of like a JRPG, like a Persona-esque thing. Like literally Persona-esque, right? Because y'all know I've played a bunch of JRPGs. I wouldn't just drop Persona. It looks like Persona in the trailers. Nope, it's Danganronpa. It's straight Danganronpa. And I'm like, well, this wasn't what I signed up for. But I'm committed now, so I guess I'm playing Danganronpa 4. It's to the point where I would not be shocked if the plot reveal is that it occurs at the end of Danganronpa V3. Like, if the plot reveal is that this is in fact a Danganronpa spinoff, I would not be shocked. That gets more bearable every time I take a sip, actually, if you can believe that. I assume it's the ice melting to make it not suck. Anyway, other content update. I have been having a huge problem, as some of might have noticed, with just scheduling my time lately. I've been really slammed. So you might have noticed Shouting Through the Chorus has been dropping what I call Garbo anime, which is 80s, 90s OVAs that literally no one gives a shit about. I'm not going to say no one's seen, because that's not always true. But you definitely don't give a fuck about Expert Xenon, do you? No, nobody goddamn does. The closest another game has gotten to Persona, in my opinion, is Mind Zero, but Mind Zero is weird, because it's like, man, I love the story of Persona 3 and 4, but I fucking love the gameplay of Persona 1 and made a game. That sounds like a complete goddamn nightmare. I'm not going to be honest. If you reversed that, it would be more interesting. Not to say anything bad about P3's story, necessarily. It's fucking, it's jank, but it's good jank. I'll say all the bad about P4's story, though. I don't give a fuck. It's pretty fun, but the story is Diet Persona. Okay. Anyway, you might have noticed the release of Garbo anime lately, and I am proud to announce that I have uploaded mostly to the end of the month. I am missing the last week, but I've already watched the anime scheduled for those weeks, and should be able to edit those videos in time. So you should be looking forward to uploads on Shouting Through the Chorus coming in the following weeks, not next week. Next week you get, I think, Expert Xenon. I didn't just drop Expert Xenon for no reason. I think it is Expert Xenon. But following that week, we should be going into Witch from Mercury and then some fucking Fate shit. And we should be moving away from Garbo. So the era of Garbo is over, and it lasted about 2.5 months. So I apologize for the Garbo era. I just didn't have time to make stuff. P3 Reload doubled down on the Evangelion inspiration. I've never really thought of P3 as inspired by Evangelion, to be honest with you. I'm not even necessarily sure I see the connection, if I'm being totally honest. There's a scene where the protagonist and Ryuji are in a music room, and Ryuji plays the piano and says, "I really appreciate the time we spent together, but I want to be more than just friends." Okay, Kaoru Nagisa. It's Ryoji. I meant to say Ryoji, not Ryuji. A lot of fangirls would be happy if it was Ryuji, though, let me tell you. What was I going to say? About, like, remakes re-rating, though. I have heard, this is unconfirmed, because I have not played it. I have heard that the Final Fantasy VII remake, first off, I heard it dropped. I heard they made all the characters ditzier than the original. Whatever. I hear they're going with a weird multiverse plotline. That was obvious from the first game. I don't know why that would surprise anyone. It's not Devil Survivor 2 levels of fucking SMT Evangelion. Well, I haven't played Devil Survivor 2. Let's see. Oh, yeah, and I hear they completely changed Sid's character. Because apparently a foul-mouthed, chain-smoking, domestic abuser doesn't play well with a modern audience. Ugh. No, seriously, though, I have seen like, Final Fantasy fans complain just, like, straight up that, like, the 7 remake has completely altered Sid's character. Like, he's literally not even the same person. Also, apparently you don't recruit Sid in this remake, despite ending at the end of Disc 1, which I don't know how that's gonna work. You also don't recruit Valentine, apparently, but that one's a little more understandable. But, like, not recruiting Sid is weird, because if anyone's played the original 7, you would know that after the major event... God, I can't believe this has entered into spoiler talks again for a game that came out in 1997. After the event happens at the end of the game... like, Tifa temporarily becomes the party member for, like, one region, and then Tifa has to take care of Cloud's crazy ass. And then, like, Sid becomes the main, like, becomes the, like, fucking player character for a weird amount of the game. To be fair, Sid, people didn't like Sid, to begin with in 7. First, I'll emphasize no one likes Sid at first. I did not have a problem with Sid as a child. And then as an adult, replaying the game, I was like, oh my god, this guy is the fucking worst! This is the fucking worst! He really was the worst. So I get the idea of changing him, but it does feel, it feels dishonest. But considering that my major issue with the Final Fantasy VII Remake in the first place is that they've changed too much that it's not recognizable as Final Fantasy VII anymore, like, I don't know. It's almost, like, is it worse to completely change the narrative or to completely change the character? To be fair, this isn't Final Fantasy VII. I know. And, like, honestly, I'm fucking disgusted with that. Is the thing. Because people have been wanting a Final Fantasy VII remake for literal decades. Literal decades. People have wanted a true Final Fantasy VII remake. And then, the second they come out with it, like, everyone just starts fucking sucking the dick of this remake, even though it's not Final Fantasy VII at all. It's like, what and then, like, Square's gonna interpret that, like, oh, we did it. We did the remake everyone wanted. I'm like, no, you fucking didn't. You didn't remake the goddamn game. Everyone wants a 7 remake, and we get this bullshit instead. Excuse me. I'm gonna say, as sad as it sounds, most of the remakes I played were remakes, and they were all fire. I will say that actually speaks to the quality of remakes, because I'm not gonna say most remakes are good. Is the thing. And I think there's probably an inherent reason for that, because if a game is worthy enough to get a remake, chances are the original was probably good in the first place. That's usually just like why would you remake a bad game, right? Like, God, let me think of a fucking bad game. Fucking Fire Emblem Fates Birthright. That ain't never getting a remake. Let's be real on that shit, right? But like 10 years down the line, maybe a Three Houses? You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. I'm saying, like, good games are the ones that usually survive to get remakes. Sometimes not. There's plenty of good games that never got remakes. There's plenty of good games that I think the original was good in principle, but botched in execution, that should get a remake that could, like, make an actually good game out of it. Like, the first one that comes to mind is, like, a remake of Rule of Rose would actually be a really good idea. Because that game is that game is a nightmare, but if you were to, like, you know, play around with a little bit and do, like you don't really have to upgrade the graphics, but you know what I'm saying, like do a more modernized version of it, keep the meat and potatoes of the story the same, I think you can make a real banger of that one, right? So, I don't know, that's a weird tangent. FF4 Remake Fire, that's actually a good point. FF4 Remake had no reason to exist. That game has been ported to everything under the fucking sun. Star Ocean Second Story R peak shit P3 Reload. I was terrified of the prospect of Atlas Deliver, and I was happy with P3 Reload. Fun fact about P3 Reload is there are unused asset files for a female model in that game. So there have been theories that maybe FemC was planned at one point and then scrapped. And some people are theorizing about an Answer DLC. I will say, if it happens, I'll get it. But I won't get it without it, because otherwise I don't see the point. Like, I don't want to buy vanilla. You know what I'm saying? Like, I get that it's not literally vanilla, but I do think that Atlas has made the problem worse. Because the problem was that there was always a debate between FES and P3P, and now Atlas is like, what about Reload? And it's like, well Atlas, why complicate the situation more? So, I mean, if they add in FemC, like, I hate to say it, if they add in a fucking Answer DLC or FemC, it's fine, I'll buy it. I'll be pissed, because that should have launched. I'll be pissed because it should have been launched, but I'll fucking buy it. I'll be satisfied and I'll stop complaining. But if they just fucking leave it, I'm gonna be so goddamn mad. I'm actually getting this coffee down. This is actually not... I'm actually getting this Black Russian. Excuse me. I know you're very anti-remake replacing the original. I actually have to disagree. I think there's plenty of, like... There are several games where I would just rather play the remake, like, nearly 100% of the time. I think there's a sort of artistic integrity argument for the original. But, like, like, in most cases, I would just rather play the remake just because I'd rather deal with more modernized mechanics. Because, like, a lot of old games, let's be honest, play like complete fucking dog shit. And I just don't want to deal with it. So, like, I'll deal with it in some circumstances, but, like, yeah, I'll usually default to a remake if I can. And I'm not ashamed of that. I'm not ashamed of that. I'm all for remakes. As long as the remake doesn't completely botch the fucking story, like, as long as the remake doesn't completely fuck it up. Like, I will literally never choose the FF7 remake over Final Fantasy VII, because it is straight up, it is straight up a different game. Most of the remakes I have the original. Yeah, I know, you love to, like, fucking triple buy games. But yeah, I'd always play the original of 7 just because it's literally a fucking different game. But as long as it's, like, close enough to not matter, I would normally play the remake. Which is why fucking P3 is so fucking frustrating. Even in a case where I think some of the changes were actively worse, like in Persona 5 Royal, I think I would still probably play Royal. Just because I think the gameplay is overall better, and I can just not do third semester. Like, if I'm ever in a mood to not do third semester, I could just not do third semester, is my thing. They're different enough that it's not triple buying. It's usually triple buying. They're usually pretty similar. I'll give you Darkstalkers. But it's you really like to triple buy games. But, what the fuck was I talking about? There was some point to this. What was this? There was literally something. I went on a fucking tangent. How did we even get here? I'm not drunk. Can you believe that? Like, what? Fucking, I cannot tell you offhandedly. Well, you are passionate about this. What the fuck was I talking about? We were talking about shouting through the course. Anyway... Yeah, look forward to stuff that matters soon. Look forward to new stuff that matters. Okay. Oh yeah, other update. Yeah, speaking of Final Fantasy VII, Grandma Sack has been playing Final Fantasy VII, and she hates it. Apparently. She can't navigate the world map, and it's a constant fucking issue. So, that is delightful. She keeps being like, I'm lost, and I can't figure out how to get to places. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? How are you lost? And she's like, I'm fucking lost! The fucking spawn rate's so high, it's like a Pokemon game! And I'm like, it's not that bad. And it's not. I want to be clear. It's not that bad, alright? It's not Pokemon level. So... I tried to prepare myself. Soul Hackers 2 Remake, 4 Remake, because I got the PS5 versions. I have every version of P3. I have both versions of P4. I have 2 versions of Ep.4. I have a classic RE along with their remakes. Okay, so first off, right off the bat, if you have... Now, there is a buying order that does change this, because I do own some games and their remakes because the remakes came out afterward. That's totally forgivable. And Darkstalkers and Street Fighter because fighting game shit. That's fair. Those are fair. I will give you the fighting games easy. But, functionally, there is no real reason to play vanilla over FES, for example. Or to choose the original P4 over Golden, is for one example. I'm pretty confident that there wouldn't be a reason to play the original Resident Evil over remake. Two, 3, I'll give you. I don't know about 4. I haven't played it. The Ray is weird enough that I kind of want to play the original 2, 3 myself anyway. P3 Vanilla is way easier to grind in because you can unlock Monad without having to kill the Reaper. Just do New Game Plus. Just do Game Plus, though! Yeah, okay. Balancing issue, like, the thing you're arguing, though, is, like, mostly balancing issues. Like, those are, like, the exact kind of minute changes where I would argue that that's like, double buying. Like, that's if I were to, like, go on to fucking PS3, specifically PS3, and I were to pick up a fucking copy of Scholar of the First Sin. It's like, why the fuck would I buy Scholar of the First Sin? Like, if I were to purchase Scholar of the First Sin, I'd argue I was double buying. You know what I'm saying? And it's very much the same situation. Vanilla has a way fucking better visual atmosphere because the game actually has fog, unlike Golden. Shia's voice isn't annoying. It's also harder. Also, RE1 original is charming as fuck. If I remember one thing about RE1 is the fucking voice acting, so I think there might be an argument to be made for the fucking jank-ass voice acting in RE1. I am starting to get a little tipsy now. We've made it to the tipsy portion. So, maybe I'm willing to give you a RE1, but the fucking vanilla versus FES is such a fucking infinitesimal difference. I would say the same with fucking 4 versus Golden, honestly. Like, I'm not saying there are 0 differences, because there's always going to be differences, but, like, the differences are not big enough to matter. The differences between those games are smaller than the differences between, like, Dark Souls 2 and Dark Souls 2 Scholar of the First Sin. And if I were to buy if I bought Scholar of the First Sin on PS3, which I don't think I can, I would consider that rebuying the game. Like, those 2 versions are close enough that I would be like, yeah, I rebought the fucking game on PS3 again. Like, I would consider that double buying easy. So, I would also consider it rebuying if I bought it on PC, which I've considered. But that's just because I've considered buying Dark Souls on PC in general, just so I could play my own Dark Souls Ziz on PC. I have not done that. I do not own them on PC. I maybe should. I don't know. What was I talking about? Anyway, Grandma sucks really bad at Final Fantasy VII. That's the moral of this story. I think we're ready to get into the meat and potatoes of this, because, again, I have not slept in 24 hours, and I have the flu, and I'm drunk. So, let's not make this stream last too long. How about that? Alright. We're gonna kick us off with the first topic of the night. It's fucking Pokemon Scarlet, the hidden treasure of Area Zero? No, that's not what it's called. It's called Teal Mask and fucking Galapagos Turtle Zone. Excuse me. What the fuck is the second Scarlet DLC called? Hold on. What the fuck is the second DLC called? Fucking, I'm shit-faced now. The second... Yeah, the whole thing is called The Hidden Treasure. Indigo Disc is what it's called. Okay, so, here's the fucking basic plot line, alright? This continues on from Pokemon Scarlet, alright? Here's the deal. You get called by your principal, and you've been selected to participate in a student exchange program where you're going to go to the new region of, I want to say Kawakami. But that might be because I have Persona on my brain. You go to the new region of Kawakami where you're a student exchange and you learn about local legends. I also have Valkyrie profile on PSP and Valkyrie profile on PS5. The PS5 version is digital I got because sometimes you want to play it on a TV. See, that's double bind. That's for sure double bind. I would call that double bind if I did it. I'm calling it double bind if you did it. So yeah, you go there and you find out about a local legend, and then you meet a cute little mask Pokemon, and you find out that everything the locals believe about their own legends is fucking lied bullshit. Next up, we have a fucking Indigo Disc, where you go to Blueberry Academy, which takes place in, I think, New York. I think the New York region. What is New York? Unova? I think Unova. Is it Unova? It's Unova. New York. You go to New York. New York! I love it because, well, I love the PSP. It's not good for my neck. I fucking, as someone who's playing a Switch game right now, I fucking feel, I fucking feel that. This is also a Switch game. Look at that. You go to New York Blueberry Academy, and then you get taken on a field trip, and it resolves the plot line that was brought up in Teal Mask, where your exchange student partner fucking learns to hate you because you steal his legendary Pokemon, and then you get into a rivalry, and then you find an even more legendary Pokemon that is the source of all the magic terrestrializing powers, and then you time travel, and then you give a book to Arvin's dad, is what you do in that. Oh, I also did Pecha Matcha Mayhem, and that was a good time. So, let's start off. These DLCs are, like, weird big. Like, the maps are weirdly big. Like, weirdly big. Like I was shocked that, like, when I entered, because I assumed when I started the first DLC, when I started Teal Mask, and I entered into the DLC, I assumed that when I entered this fucking map, I thought both DLCs were going to be in this map, because why make a map this big if both DLCs weren't in this fucking map? But guess what? No, they give you a second map. That's how big the goddamn maps are. It is fucking nuts how big these maps are for these DLCs. So if we're talking like pure, like if you like catching Pokemon and you like big maps, the DLCs are definitely worth it. Story-wise, the DLCs are okay. I don't think there's anything wrong with the narrative. I don't think there's anything wrong with the characters. I like that Carmen is just the worst when you first meet her, and then when you get into like Indigo Disc, at this point you've basically become friends, and she swapped places with her brother, who started off as like the friendly guy and then eventually became so fucking like ardently jealous of you that he's the worst. I think that's interesting. Like I love the like character dynamics and progression. The big issue is that the stories are so fucking short when you get into the actual narrative. Like, it's just go here, do this, 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 and you're done. That's it. That's all. That's about as many steps as are. It's so quick. It's over in a snap. Now, if you're trying to do all the side quests like I did, because I basically 100% of these DLCs, there's a lot to do, but unfortunately the fucking side quests are so irritatingly produced. Like, one of them is like, you gotta catch all the Pokemon in the region, and I'm like, you eat a dick. You eat a dick and die. And then there's like the purring one where she's like, catch 100 Pokemon. And I'm like, that's a more reasonable number. And then you catch 100 Pokemon, and then you catch a big fucking blood bear. And it's like, I'm the blood god bear. You've caught me. Rawr. And then you do have a fun little moment where you take like pictures of Pokemon in the woods. So that side quest is fun, but unlocking the side quest, honestly, the side quests themselves are not bad. as far as the DLCs goes, but unlocking them is just the fucking worst. Just the fucking... I hope to Christ in fucking Gen 10 Pokemon learns that grinding isn't fun. Ugh. Anyway. Also, the DLC takes up massive amounts of Switch space, and I ran out of Switch space thanks to this. So fucking thanks, Pokemon. And you can't back up your fucking Pokemon on the fucking cloud because Game Freak's worried you're gonna dupe Pokemon. I don't know why they care if you dupe Pokemon. I guess they're trying to prevent a secondary market from being created by selling Pokemon or some shit like that, but it's really goddamn annoying. Like, just let me fucking back my Pokemon saves on the cloud. Anyway, yeah, so that's the first DLC. You catch Ogerpon. It's cute. It's useless at this point. At this point, I have a full team of level 100s with max EVs and IVs. I don't know why, and perfect natures. I don't know why the fuck I would need an Ogerpon. But I got an Ogerpon. Also, like, all of the enemies are, like, level 80, which is crazy, which creates a really weird dissonance when we get to Pechamacha Mayhem. But we'll deal with Pechamacha Mayhem in a little bit. Anyway, Indigo Disc, yeah, you go to Blueberry Academy, and then, fucking, what's-his-face has just gone off the deep end out of jealousy, and he's like the league champion, and you gotta beat him. And so you beat him, and that's the whole thing. You go through the Ep.4 challenge all over again. You have to make a sandwich at one point. You fly through some hoops at one point. There's one really obnoxious challenge where you can only use Pokemon you caught in the region, and then there's a fourth challenge, and I don't remember that one, so it probably wasn't that bad. And yeah, that is that one. Oh, and then you catch the big shiny turtle that's on the right side of the screen. So look at that. That is a fun, good time. And he learns that you're just gonna be better than him. And then the lesson of Pokemon, the lesson of every Pokemon universally, is that some people are just better than you. And no matter how much effort you put into it, no matter how much you want it, and no matter how much you try, some people are just going to be better at you than everything. And you should give up, and you should go home, and you should cry to your sister, because that's all you can do, because some people are the main character, and you're not someone. Is the message I have if I've taken anything from Pokemon, it's that. It's that life has main characters and you're not one of them. Fuck you, Cancer Kid in fucking Sapphire. Anyway, no, it's fine. It's good. It's too big. There's too many Pokemon, and the side quest involves catching 200 fucking Pokemon. To unlock Paradin's side quest, where you will catch 2 more Pokemon that are like fucking, in my version of Scarlet, they're like ancient Pokemon, but theoretically they'd be like future Pokemon. It's the side quests are fucking god awful. The side quests are fucking obnoxious. I did all of the Bond episodes. All of the Bond episodes were good. They were interesting. I liked the dialogue. I liked the interactions between the characters in the Bond episodes. You know what I didn't like about Bond episodes? Unlocking the fucking Bond episodes, because Pokemon has a weird obsession with grinding for no fucking reason. I probably grinded like a solid week just unlocking all the bullshit in this fucking game. Anyway, that brings us to Pechamacha Mayhem. Pechamacha Mayhem is a fucking limited time event, add-on event that you acquire by getting a mythical Pecha Berry, which creates a weird mind-controlling Pokemon that apparently caused the original legendary Pokemon from Indigo Mask to go crazy and mind control the original legendaries from Indigo Mask, and it ends up mind controlling the entire region, and you've got to beat it. And there's also a moment where Nemona fucking Pokemon battles the main antagonist of Pokemon Teal Disc, and she wins, which confirms the fact that Nemona is just fucking literally built different. Also, crazy fucking fact about Nemona is she enters the island without a Kamo-o, and then she leaves the island with a Kamo-o. Like... Like, this bitch walked across the island, fucking caught a Pokemon, and then trained it to level 80, and then walked back while mind-controlled. Nemona is literally the main character, and the only reason that the plot happens is because she has allowed you to temporarily take her protagonist spot. Which is why she is one of my favorite Pokemon characters. Anyway. Pachamacha Mayhem is fun. It's very short. It's not grindy. And that's what I like about it. I did all the bullshit Bond episodes. I maxed out the club room, and I fought the principal of Blueberry Academy. It was a good time. It was a good DLC. Was it $35 worth of DLC? Probably, if you like catching Pokemon. If you are someone who's like, I'm not satisfied with the original Pokedex, it is definitely worth the investment. It's theoretically, on paper, it is a better bang for your buck than the Sword and Shield DLC. In a lot of ways, I almost feel like the DLCs of this game had more time invested in them and more effort invested in them than the original game itself, which is not a good thing. But at the very least, I was like pleasantly surprised by the quality of the DLC. So definitely give a 1 thumbs up to the Pokemon Hidden Treasure of Area Zero DLCs. All right, who's ready to move on to the next game? The next game, and the only other game I've played over the course of 2 months, is Scarlet Nexus. Yes, upon prompting from 3 different people, I have picked up Scarlet Nexus, a game with 2 protagonists, kind of. Yuito, who is the son of the head of the government in a future sort of... I don't know what you call it. I guess it's kind of cyberpunk, but it's not cyberpunk at all because there's no cybernetic enhancements. So it's like a sort of esperpunk, I'm going to call it. A futuristic esperpunk setting where the main character is like the son of like the head politician of the area, and then there's a rebellion, and then the other character has a fucking superpower. And that's her place in the story. And before I played Scarlet Nexus, I looked up on Steam. I'm like, hey, which character should I play first? Which one's the most narratively satisfying? And the Steam said to play Yuito first. Because Kasane, which is the girl on the left, apparently her story can kind of like spoil Yuito's storyline if you play it first. And I totally understand what they mean, because Kasane has knowledge of what's going on in the setting well before Yuito, and she gains a lot more knowledge a lot quicker. Like 90% of a Yuito playthrough, if you're doing it for the first time, is Yuito going, what the fuck is happening? I don't understand what the fuck is happening. Like, shit just starts happening to this guy, and he is just clueless. He accidentally stumbles into committing treason at one point. Like, legitimately. Now, one thing I will say while playing as Yuito is that I could not shake the feeling while playing as him that I'm like, wow, Yuito just kind of feels like the main character of this game. Like... fuck is this bullshit? Yuito Super Rocket. Yeah. Yuito, while playing as Yuito, I just kind of couldn't shake the feeling. I'm like, Yuito feels like the main character of this game, and Kasane feels like a plot device. And then when I beat the game as Yuito, and I moved over to playing as Kasane, and I got to the end of Kasane's playthrough, I couldn't shake the feeling that, wow, Yuito feels like the main character of this game, and Kasane just kind of feels like a plot device. Yuito also has the better team. I actually, well, okay, personality-wise, maybe. Functionally, I completely disagree. I completely disagree. Because Kasane has Arashi, which has hypervelocity, which is the best fucking SAS in the entire game. Unquestionably. And she also has Shido, which is electricity, and I like Hanabi way more than Shido, but straight up electrokinesis is better than pyrokinesis. It is just functionally a better ability. So I bodied the fuck out of Kasane every time I fought her, and I got my ass handed every time I fought him. That is because... Okay, so team-wise, I completely disagree. Fucking Yuito's team is way worse. Like, way, way worse than fucking Kasane's team. The actual issue that I noticed while playing between the two versions is that Yuito is better than Kasane. Like, way better. Like, he does more damage. His combos go off faster. Like, Kasane plays a bit of a range game, but she doesn't do a lot of damage, whereas Yuito is a sort of single target focus down sort of character, but the game is built around the idea of single target focus down, because they throw these like big monsters at you, you have to grind their health out. So it ends up in a scenario where Kasane's range isn't helpful, because you need to get in on the character, because the way it's designed is that you need to fill up your psychokinesis gauge, your PS gauge or whatever, in order to activate heavier psychokinesis attacks. And Kasane is built, like, the game is built around, like, focusing down on an enemy, building up your PS gauge, then throwing a psychokinesis attack, right? So Kasane being built around range is actually a detriment to her playstyle, because she tries to clear distance, and then because she's doing less damage, she's building up her psychokinesis less. Now, I think she can actually use psychokinesis more often than him, but it's not really helpful, because psychokinesis isn't the best integrated attack action in the game anyway. So Yuito ends up doing more damage, he attacks faster, he's better at focusing, which means he builds up his game faster. I think Kasane, like I said, is better at psychokinesis, but the problem is the fact that you have to wait for psychokinesis to charge mid-combo. Now, I will say I did realize that you could actually attack mid-combo while charging your psychokinesis gauge, and I hadn't realized that until the end. So maybe my opinion would be different, but yeah, no, I think the major issue is that Yuito is just better than Kasane. Like, he is better than Kasane. His team is worse, which is why I have realized when I was grinding at the end game that Yuito with a Kasane team is fucking invincible. But anyway, yeah, that's mechanics. I wasn't planning to get super in-depth with the mechanics, but I guess there we go, yeah. Yuito's just better, is the problem. But yeah, like, Kasane, even when you go through her narrative, a lot of Kasane is like Yuito's is like, go here, discover this hidden mystery, what the fuck is going on? Go here, what the fuck is going on? And then it slowly comes together to be put together by an exposition dump by Kasane, because Kasane's known it the whole time, which is why I think you're recommended to play Yuito first, because Kasane just knows everything the entire time. Like, Yuito gets one piece of information she doesn't have, which is the fucking, like, moon plot twist, which basically doesn't matter anyway. So Kasane knows what's happening and Yuito just doesn't, which is also part of what aids in him feeling like the protagonist throughout the whole story. Whereas Kasane has to go sort of like deep cover in the enemy side for a good chunk of the game, which means she's very like point and click, where the enemy's like, you have to go do this random mission that doesn't matter, go do this random mission that doesn't matter, go do this random mission that doesn't matter. So like, her story isn't the best integrated into the plot line, unlike Yuito's, which very much felt like the main focus. Like, I enjoyed the shit out of Scarlet Nexus while playing as Yuito, but it actually lost me during the Kasane playthrough, because I don't think Kasane is very fun to play as, and I don't think her story is very good in the first place. Now, I will say that both characters have someone important to them get lost, and I will say that, like, when Yuito loses someone important, I didn't give a shit. I did not give a single fuck. Like, the game was, like, going all out. It was playing the sad music. They did, like, the death scene where it's like, ugh, and I'm like, I don't fucking care. But when, like, Kasane loses someone important, I think that scene was a lot more impactful, because we got to know that character more, and that character was sort of a victim of the circumstance, whereas technically Yuito's, like, lost friend is also a victim of the circumstance. But Yuito's lost friend also is, like, brainwashed for the most of the game. So he spends most of the game as the antagonist. So you end up having this sort of inherent subconscious bias against just, like, man, fuck this guy. Just kill this guy. And, like, the second you think, man, just fucking kill this guy, is the second you lose the opportunity to give him, like, a sad death scene. Whereas, like, when Kasane loses someone, because this game's relatively new, so I'm trying to go sort of spoiler light. When Kasane loses someone, that character's been a victim of circumstance the entire fucking time, and has never been against you, and has always been sort of, like, portrayed as a sort of, like, pathetic, sort of, like, pitiable character, so the death scene is a lot more impactful. So I say that, like, Kasane's, like, dedicated friend death scene is a lot more impactful than Yuito's, but in almost every other regard, Yuito's story is just objectively better. Like, it really feels like Kasane was on the back burner. And I'm disappointed on that, honestly. First time I fought Yuito Genma just one-shot me. Okasa Kasane has Kyoka and her SAS is fucking useless. Like, when the fuck would you use duplication? Duplication is one of the most busted fucking abilities in the entire game, mate. You cannot be goddamn serious. If you get to level 2, I can never get that shit to work. So the way duplication works is if you duplicate with Kasane, it duplicates the number of items she throws when you use SAS, which is very complementary to Kasane's style because it's all about building up your gauge so that you can throw your psychokinesis. But the main advantage is if you use Kasane if you have her maxed, what she does is she gives you a bodily doppelganger, which basically means your attacks are doubled when you do this. So a great thing you can do is you can get the ability that lets you use multiple SASs at once. So you can mix her with Shido, and then because Shido's lightning abilities are so much fucking better than Hanabi's, like changing to pyrokinesis or electrokinesis actually changes your attack frequencies. So you can use your Y spam with Shido, and this motherfucker will hit, like, I swear to God, like 30 times in a row. Like, the damage output you can do by activating a Kasane and a Shido at one time is fucking insane. Like, it melts people. The only people it doesn't melt is like the fucking voice in the recording, or the shadow in the recording. But like nothing melts the shadow in the recording. That boss is fucking bullshit. So what was the best boss in the game? Because there is a right answer. I honestly, I'm going to actually say this. I actually don't think any of the bosses in the game stood out particularly much to me. You'll probably disagree with this. You're almost certainly going to disagree with this. But I would say the non like SAS mission version of Dominus Circus, I actually enjoyed. I would say my favorite is actually Dominus Circus. I'm sure you'll disagree with that, but I actually liked Dominus Circus. Now, the SAS version where it has like the umbrella and it's invincible the entire time, and like the like virtual mission version of Dominus Circus is literally it's fucking Hitler. Dominus Circus virtual mission is Hitler, right? But like the main game ending story is actually pretty good, and I liked Dominus Circus. It gives me like real like Walpurgis Night vibes from like Madoka Magica. I like the idea that it's just like there's not even like a real place in the story for it. It's just like, this was a really strong other we fought, and then you just fight this bullshit. It's like, what the fuck is this nonsense elephant bullshit? Dominus Circus is the correct answer. Okay, yeah, no, Dominus Circus is fucking good. Now, the virtual mission version of Dominus Circus is a fucking terrible nightmare. It sucks. Like, virtual mission Dominus Circus sucks, but like main story Dominus Circus is really good. I enjoyed that. That was my favorite fucking boss in the game for sure. And either character, honestly. Like I said, real Walpurgis vibes on that one. It's the perfect penultimate boss. Hey kid, have you mastered SAS? Yes, it's good. Anyway, yeah, what I would say with Scarlet Nexus is I think it's almost held back by the choose your character idea. I would say it also has the best boss theme. I didn't really pay too much attention to any of the boss themes. I don't think any of them really stood out to me too much. What I will say is I think the game is held back by the ability to choose your character. Because it's clearly built, or like, I don't think it was a late game decision. I don't. The game is clearly constructed around it. But I also think it shouldn't have been. What I think the game would have served better at being constructed is if it was one mainline storyline alternating between the two main characters with two alternating perspectives. Sort of like Final Fantasy XIII style, where you don't choose your main character. I think that probably could have, because I think both routes hold each other back, especially because the fact that Yuito doesn't know what's going on, so you get this massive fucking expedition dump when you get to the fucking ice level after you go to Togetsu. I think if you sort of, like, you could skip that exposition dump, which is awkward in both routes, right? And I think you could have like one dedicated cutscene to that, and then I think if you had like the two characters progressing simultaneously, and that also lets you more properly integrate Kasane into the story, because like I said, she mostly feels like a plot device. Should probably put an asterisk because we have very different tastes, but okay, let's see what we got. I'll give you that. That's pretty good. That's a pretty good theme. All right. Anyway, yeah, one thing I appreciate is that the two cities the characters go to, they're both awful. They're both fucking terrible. It's very like a Gundam in that regard, which is a comparison I make only because I just watched a Gundam anime. And Gundam's big thing is that all sides are morally gray in the first place. But yeah, it's very like a Gundam in the regard that everyone's wrong. I think the story could have done a better job of portraying its ultimate villain in Karen Travers. Because one thing I didn't realize is that Karen Travers went back in time multiple times before the main plot. Like, this motherfucker's on, like, New Game Plus, which I know mostly because I have the DLC for this game. That's right, I did the DLC. Let me tell you, I forgot to enter this. I 100%ed this game. I did all the Bond episodes. I got all the achievements. I actually didn't do all the virtual missions because that's not required for getting all the achievements, but I did get all the achievements, did all the Bond episodes, gave all the gifts. Of course you did. Of course I did. You'll never guess what the last one was. It was revive 5 allies. That was my last achievement. And I did, unfortunately, when it came time to unlock that one, I was like level 99 with all characters. So in order to do it, I had to like go to the super boss, the shadow of the recording, and just like, go! Beat the shit out of me! And I had to like purposely make it so his attacks like slammed directly into... I chose Tsumugi and Arashi because they had the lowest hit points of any characters. Anyway, I like the cast of this game. I will say that. I think the cast is very strong. One thing I will say is, as a Yuito player, originally, I did not like Shido, and then I was like, the one thing I was dreading was playing as Kasane and having to deal with Shido for an entire playthrough. And I love that the game, the second you play as Kasane, she immediately puts him in his fucking place. It is night and day, Shido's attitude between those two characters. You're like, Yuito, he's like, I'm so much better than you. I'm Shido. And then you get to Kasane, and he's like, what the fuck is happening? Why are you so much better than me? And I love it. I love it. Like, it was so satisfying in an early Kasane playthrough to see Shido get a shit rocked. Anyway, one thing I was also surprised is when you're doing a Yuito playthrough, you see, like, Kagero, and you assume that Kasane's, like, in with him. Kagero's a shady motherfucker for, like, the entire game, no matter what. Which I also think sort of subtracts from Kasane's route, as crazy as it sounds, because, like, Kasane ends up in a team with basically, like, 3 traitors! She ends up in a team with 3 traitors! Because Shido betrays her at the beginning! So her entire team is comprised entirely of traitors, whereas Yuto trusts his team the whole time! The worst fucking SAS during the Yuto bosses is invisibility, because he fucking counters that shit. Oh, yeah, that's right, because of fucking Tsumugi's clairvoyance. Yeah. You know what? I will have to say this. As, when I did Yuito the first time, when I had to make my final endgame SAS, I left Kagero out because I was like, invisibility is fucking useless. I don't know why I would ever use invisibility when I could use a fucking Genma's sclerosis or like Kasane's like psychokinesis. And then when I was playing as Kasane, I was like, oh, I don't need sclerosis at all. Damage reduction is fucking bullshit. Invisibility is broken. I immediately switched it. Kagero's invisibility is so fucking good. It's not necessarily, like, the greatest in combat. It just makes certain fights against enemies that like to turtle up so much less annoying. I became a real Kagero SAS fan at that point. Tried to use it. What I will also say is I was a bit surprised with the game, because I would have assumed when they introduced Karen Travers, where it's like, he's got the ability Brain Eater. He can use all the abilities simultaneously. The direction I thought the game was going was like the main character would get Brain Eater at some point, and like he could also use all of the abilities. The game doesn't do that. His ability stays consistent the entire fucking time, which is actually a major plot point. So yeah, I was pleasantly surprised. I have to say, I think the game is majorly held back by the Kasane route, though. Like, if it was just the Yuito route, I think this would be an 8 out of 10. But, like, I think the Kasane route is so underdeveloped, so undercooked. And it's very samey is part of the problem. Like, a lot of Kasane's early cutscenes are basically just like early game Yuito cutscenes, but with Kasane's internal thoughts, and a lot of late game cutscenes are exactly the same. It's really just the mid game, which is why I think Scarlet Nexus would so much benefit from just being one route that just alternates characters. I think that would make a genuinely better game. Anyway, I talked to all the characters. I did all their Bond events, like literally all of them, like literally 100%. I saw the fucking internal base go from completely blank to just this like decked out mansion with almost too much shit to look at. It was a fun time. I enjoyed the gameplay. I thought psychokinesis could have been handled better. I would have liked it if it was more like instant activation. Even still on a bar, like maybe charges or something. I don't know. Like the fact that you have to hold it makes it sort of like limits the use mid-combo. So I wasn't like super fond of that, but no, it is a good game for sure. Not like far from my favorite game, and definitely held back by certain aspects. There's a lot that isn't. Also, I think it gets wrapped up in a little too nice of a bow. Is that weird to say? I would have almost liked a more bittersweet ending. Like literally everyone is happy at the end, and I don't know why I don't like that, but I kind of don't like that. It's a weird comparison, but it works like Force Powers in P2 and Wii version of Force Unleashed. Unfortunately, I've only played the 360 version, and the big thing about Force Unleashed is that every version was different. So I actually I cannot relate. Excuse me. But, yeah, one fun fact is that we don't know who all the Septentron are, which is something I was like, midway through the game, I'm like, they keep mentioning the Septentron, and we know there's 7 of them. Who are all the Septentron? And then I look it up, and there's like a Reddit post dedicated trying to figure this shit out, and it's like, we don't know. We don't know all the Septentron. So there's that. We know Karen Travers deleted himself from existence by going really far back in time. There's the whole shit with like whatever's going on with the moon and the other particles. Oh, can I also say I don't like that the other particles, like revelation, I don't like that it was aliens. Can I say that? I thought like it was gonna be. I thought it was gonna be a more God Eater scenario where humanity fucked itself really hard. But like the fact that it's aliens, I don't know. It also didn't like. It didn't super like latch on to the overall plot of the entire game, and also the psychic powers kind of have nothing to do with anything. I thought all of this would have been connected, and instead we're presented with a universe where characters just have psychic powers, and also there's just aliens for some reason, and also people lived on the moon at one point because the Earth was fucked up. It's a lot of and alsos instead of like a good line of connection. I've seen people asking for a sequel, and I'm not sure what you would do narratively with a sequel other than go to the moon. But if the answer is go to the moon, I'm definitely on board with the sequel, because there's an implication that the others are attacking the moon. So if we want to explore that angle, I'm definitely on board with it. But I do feel like it's wrapped up in a little too nice of a bow. I think too many characters sort of survived at the end. I think there was a lot of improvements to be made. But I think it was a solid game altogether. I definitely didn't dislike my time with it. Although I did get pretty bored occasionally with my Kazane playthrough. So, take that as you will. But yeah, Scarlet Nexus was... Oh, fuck, what did I just click? I don't even know how that happened. So yeah, take that how it will. But like, Scarlet Nexus wasn't bad. I definitely enjoyed it. Scarlet Nexus 2, but it plays like Doom on the moon instead of Mars. I've not played Doom. I don't think I've ever played Doom. I've probably played about 5 minutes of the original Doom, but I've never really played a Doom, if you can believe that. Okay, I think we're going to move on from Scarlet Nexus. If this makes my game of the year, I'll eat my fucking hat. Also, if it makes my worst of the year, I'll eat my fucking hat, because it's actually, it's a pretty solid game. Rick and the Morty, Season 7. Totally honest, I don't super remember what happened in Season 7 of Rick and Morty. You can play Doom on a pregnancy test, for God's sakes. And yet, I've never done it. I do not remember too much about Rick and Morty Season 7, but it was on my notes of a thing I've watched. The big episodes I remember for this is that Rick goes into his final confrontation with Rick Prime. And he teams up with Evil Morty, and that's a pretty fucking good episode. The episode feels a little rapid, a little too fast. I don't know if that should be a one-part episode. It almost feels like it should have been a two-part episode. It feels fine when you see the episode. Like, it doesn't feel rushed in the episode itself, but the fact that it's one episode that they get that all done with feels crazy to me. And I also remember that this is the season with the Fear Hole, which is, I think, the final episode of the season. That's a pretty good episode. I think people suck the Fear Hole's episode. Like, I think people suck Fear Hole's dick way too hard for how good it is. I think it's a good episode. I think it's one of the best Rick and Morty episodes, but my bar of what makes a good Rick and Morty episode is way lower than most people's, because, like, I don't think Rick and Morty is all that great of a show. I didn't really get on board of Rick and Morty until, like, season 4 anyway, but I enjoyed season 7 thoroughly, which, again, as someone who doesn't really like Rick and Morty, I consider enjoying this season, like, I consider enjoying season 7 like a positive, like a recommendation. I consider that a good thing. So that's pretty good for that. But those are the only 2 episodes that, like, stand out. I am looking at a fucking, like, Sasquatch, and I remember there is an episode in this, I'm desperately trying to remember the Sasquatch episode, where, like, Morty lets out the Sasquatch, and there's something going on with that, but fucking, I don't remember. I straight up don't remember. I don't think it's very memorable. It's not the best season of Rick and Morty, for sure. That's the one with Mr. Nimbus. But I think it's a pretty solid season overall, and just that I didn't dislike it. Although this might be the season where they keep dropping lightsabers, and they're like, oh, it's perfectly fucking vertical, and it, like, digs through the planet, which, like, I don't know. As a former Star Wars nerd, because everyone knows I don't like Star Wars now, but as I mentioned during my KOTOR playthrough, I used to be a big Star Wars nerd. The lightsaber would turn off in that scenario. Like, there is a safety mechanism to literally prevent that from happening. Right? And also, it is worth noting that the blade of the lightsaber is smaller than the blade radius of the outside of the handle, so even if you were to drop the lightsaber perfectly fucking vertical, it would catch on the guard of the lightsaber, which apparently, which I believe, according to Star Wars lore, uses like a literally impossible level of electromagnets. Like, it would cause, like, natural disasters if you were to have this shit. To contain the plasma beam of the sword, so it, like, if you dropped it, like, only the actual beam part would penetrate the earth, and it would just stick in the ground, just probably incinerating everything, but, like, you would be able to like, Rick would be able to catch it. Like, it wouldn't just start digging through the planet, is what I'm saying. So, like, as a Star Wars nerd, the fucking perfectly vertical lightsaber episode is bullshit. Also, it's just not very entertaining, to be honest with you. But yeah, Rick and Morty, season 7 is solid. It's not bad. It's not bad. It has at least 2 pretty damn good episodes, so that's enough with Rick and Morty season 7. Knowing up on the next episode is Hazbin Hotel. That's right, I watched Hazbin Hotel. I have to finish this. But yeah, it is stream. Hey, Saf1. Did I do it? Sif1? Did I do it? What's your weird question? I don't promise to answer. I'm in the middle of this challenge. I have to step to find a Twitch streamer to microwave an egg in a little water for me. I know it's random. I'll give 5 gifted. Okay. I win 150 if I finish first. I'm not going to waste your time. I'm not going to be able to do it. But good luck on your challenge. I wish you the best of luck. Thanks for being respectful about it. Okay. So, Hazbin Hotel is a series, animated series. It's a sort of like musical animated series created by Vizipop, who has a YouTube channel. The pilot is available on YouTube. I recommend it. It's a pretty good pilot. It is also, technically, it might be a spin-off of Hell of a Boss, because I think the pilot of Hell of a Boss came first. I think the pilot of Hell of a Boss came first. But also Hell of a Boss, I've heard, might be a spinoff of Hazbin Hotel. Maybe their sister series. I don't know. They're tangentially related based on their creator, though. So, anyway, here's the idea, right? It is worth noting that my train of thought has been derailed because I have the flu, I have not slept in 24 hours, and I'm drunk as shit right now. So I'm glad Twitch has these fucking warning labels because I'm fucked up. Anyway, yeah, you can watch the pilot. There's a spinoff, Hazbin Hotel. Hazbin Hotel is okay. It's fine. It's fine. I did watch all of Hazbin Hotel. I am caught up with the, like, Maman episode, which is, like, according to the episode title, it's like the mid-season episode. That's the only reason it's not on here is because I'm waiting for the full season to finish before I end up, like, discussing it fully. But anyway, so yeah, this is also the show where that one beatboxing YouTuber went into debt to spend $50,000 to have an animated music video of the main character. Like a softcore porn animated music video of the main character, Charlie. Which is true. And you can probably find it. I did find the video. I think I linked it in Discord, actually. I think I linked that music video. Yeah, this beatboxing YouTuber, like, embezzled money, supposedly, maybe, possibly, embezzled money. I have heard he used viewer submissions for things that he was supposed to use for other videos. Allegedly embezzled money. He might not have. I actually think in his own apology video, he says he didn't. He might have spent his own money. But point is, spent $50,000. 47,000, I believe it actually was the exact number he said in his apology video. $47,000 to have an animated music video of the main character, which is a softcore porn music video where the main character, Charlie, that I'm pointing to right here, she's in the center of the screen. She's the most obvious character on the screen right now. Basically, like, hunts him down and then seduces him and then magics him into bed and then tries on a bunch of lingerie and then they're implied to fuck, but you don't see them actually doing it because, again, it's soft core, so she doesn't actually have it happen. And I am pretty sure I put that in the Discord. So you can check that out if you want. I did it, like, probably a month or two ago. But yeah, that is a real thing that has happened on this planet. Anyway, so basically, the main character is Charlie Morningstar, is the daughter of Lucifer, who's, like, the leader of hell in the Hazbin Hotel universe. I'm not going to get into the biblical concept of Lucifer on this one. Don't worry, we're not getting into fucking Apocrypha and Bible bullshit, which I totally could. But anyway, yeah, so she wants to create a hotel to redeem sinners so that they can get into heaven. And, like, the major crux of it is that heaven is just not about that shit. And the main antagonist of this is Adam, who is the angel at the absolute top of the screen. And every year, him and what are known as, like, the Exorcists, which is a group of angels, come down. Adam, of course, is the first man who went to heaven and then became an angel in this universe. And just, they, like, use, like, angelic steel to just, like, destroy the souls of all of the sinners in hell so they can't rise up against the angels. So it's about, like, the daughter of Lucifer trying to redeem souls in hell while the angels are trying to prevent them from rising up by just straight up murdering them. And then also, like, really early on, like, early enough that I don't think this is spoiler. It might be, like, episode 1 or 2 or whatever. They decide that they're going to they're going to start doing it every 6 months. So that's the major crux, is, like, redeem everyone before heaven can start fucking shit up. Now, when the pilot dropped, there was several months, I think, like, not Hazbin Hotel, I think Hell of a Boss, which may or may not be a spinoff of this, went into went into, like, like YouTube syndication essentially. And then you got the announcement that there's going to be 2 seasons of like Hazbin Hotel. Turns out it was picked up by Amazon Prime. I believe I've seen Adam Quaymon. I'm not sure if I've ever seen Eve from SMT9, by the way. But yeah, Adam Quaymon. You fucking tongue-tied me there. Anyway, what was I talking about? I lost my place. I'm drunk. I'm drunk and sleep deprived. Fucking my brain's gone. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, like I said, I've seen. I think it's Adam and Koy. I think it's Adam Quaymon, right? Isn't it? I don't think it's like Adam. Like I don't think it's Adam the first man. I think it's Adam the Gnostic concept of the first man. But what the fuck was I talking about? God, I have been derailed completely by my alcohol in my system at this point. You fight them before Yeldabaoth. Yes, yeah. It's like the Gnostic versions of them, not their like biblical versions. Which there is an important distinction about that. Anyway, yeah. So Charlie has to like fucking redeem souls in hell before heaven like destroys their souls. Hell of a Boss is like tangentially related. Hell of a Boss is okay at best. But like Hazbin Hotel was absolutely a great time. In fact, it might be the best thing we are going to talk about on this entire podcast so far. Outside of the time I mentioned Strange Journey at one point. Or someone mentioned Strange Journey. Outside of the time Strange Journey was brought up, Hazbin Hotel is the best thing on this podcast. There's like 2 musical numbers per episode. And now I have heard complaints that it is too fast, and the reason I brought up the fact that 2 seasons were confirmed to this show immediately is because there are, I want to say 10 episodes, 8 episodes, 10 episodes, maybe 8 episodes. How many 8 episodes. There were 8 episodes in season 1. So, like, people say that that the pacing is too fast, and I kind of agree. I think it could have used a little more time in the oven. The problem is they got confirmed for 2 seasons, which means that chances are when they had to they had a fucking overview, plot view, draft. I don't remember I'm too drunk to remember what happens when you pre-write a story, and you like fill out your panels and stuff. What is that called? Overdraft, overwrite, plan. What's the? I'm looking it up. What is writing? Planning called? Outline. It's called an outline. It's called an outline. I mean an outline. When you're... I don't think it is outlining, is it? Maybe it's outlining. Drafting? Revising? Editing? Fuck it. We're calling it an outline. Anyway, when you outline an animated story... I bet during the outlining phase, they had like a rough idea of where the story was going. And then when they realized they had 8 episodes for season 1, like, I bet they like compressed some shit. And then they did the same thing for season 2 to make sure that the general story, because if you are given money to produce an animated series, you need to get that shit done in time. Like, people are like, oh, they should have season 1 should have been longer, but like, that is not a complaint you can make to the writers at that point, because like Vizipop was given a set amount of episodes that she could make. She was given the episodes, right? So she has done what she can. So I have to assume that she has done what she could in the most efficient amount of time as possible. And if it gets a third season at that point, good for her. But I assume she's planning to tell the story in 2 seasons because that was what she was given when the story was picked up for indication. That is my assumption. I am sure that she has established enough of a setting that she could theoretically probably go for season 3. Like, I don't know how season 2 ends, but I'm already assuming season 3 is totally a possibility. But I guarantee you she has decided to tell the story in 2 seasons because that was what she was fucking paid to tell the story in. I'd be shocked if there's a season 2 cliffhanger that wasn't decided by the Amazon fucking production staff. Anyway. And by the way, this has a good chance of getting a season 3. Let me tell you this, because fucking Hazbin Hotel blew up when it finally got syndicated. But anyway, yeah, it's a bit of like a musical. There's 2 musical numbers per episode. It's very good. I definitely enjoyed it. It is my favorite thing I've talked about this entire stream. Absolutely. I'm excited for season 2. And I will have to say that I think the fact that it got into redemption and it got into like 6 months pass in a single season, I do think that is on paper very fast, but it didn't feel that too fast when going through the story itself. I think episode 7 was a bit slow. To be totally honest with you, when you compare to the sort of breakneck pacing of the other season. But I think Hazbin Hotel was all around a very, very good watch, and I definitely enjoyed it, and I would definitely recommend it if you have Amazon Prime and you can get your hand on some Hazbin Hotel. So check that shit out. That is my Hazbin Hotel review. It would have been more coherent were I not so drunk. How much more booze do I have? We have about 1/4 of a booze. So at some point at the end of this stream, someone has got to bring up a topic that has nothing to do with anything. Or I'm going to be up shit creek without a fucking paddle. Because this needs to be done by the end of the stream. Because I've never not finished alcohol by the end of the stream. And I don't want to drink. I don't want to drink when the stream is over. Can I be clear? I have the flu and I haven't slept in 24 hours. I don't want to still be drinking when this is over. So someone derail me for the love of fucking God. Excuse me. Okay. Let's address something real quick. It's a dark and stormy night. There's fucking lightning pittering-pattering outside. The rain is coming down. You're at a funeral for February. You weren't the best of friends with February. But you knew February. It was okay, right? But you're there with all of February's quarters, right? February's family, February's friends. You give a little wave. There's refreshments, but they're not too refreshing. Everyone's wearing black. Everyone's sad, right? And then lightning crashes on the outside, right? And then you hear something. What do you hear? You hear a rap, tap, tap at the door. Rap, tap, tap. Rap, tap, tap. Everyone looks. They're like, I don't understand what's happening right now. Everyone who is supposed to be here for the funeral of February, they're already here. Who could possibly be at the door? And so you go over the door and you peek through the eye hole and there's no one out there. But you still hear the rap tap tap. What is happening? And so slowly you creak open and you open the door. And who greets you? But Anime Dartboard, the segment of the podcast where we talk about a maximum 350-minute anime that is randomly selected and is also English dubbed. Last month, we selected Kiznaiver. Hell, that is right. Of course, now we do not need to know... we do not need to do a plot synopsis of Kiznaiver because, of course, everyone who is watching this podcast has already watched Kiznaiver. And also, if you're watching this segment on the fucking Shouting Through the Chorus channel, you have also watched Kiznaiver. Actually, weirdly enough, I think it's because my dumb fucking face is on it. No one actually watches the Anime Dartboard. episodes on Chatting the Crew. I get like 20 to 50 views per average on every other video on my channel, but the second I upload Anime Dartboard, no one gives a shit. It's fucking funny. If you're watching it, you're a real one. Anyway, yeah, Kiznaiver. Of course, everyone watched Kiznaiver. And so, Zach, what are your thoughts on the artwork of H.R. Giger? You know what? I will come back around to that at the end of Anime Dartboard because I think it is a perfect derailment. Anyway, yeah. So my thing about Kiznaiver is kind of famous for being probably Studio Trigger's first miss. And I can totally see why. I was not a big Kiznaiver fan, and I think Trigger was completely out of the fucking element when they tried to make Kiznaiver. Because what this basically is a sort of like complicated teen coming-of-age romance drama, and fucking Jesus Christ were they not ready to make that. I mean, they kind of did it with like Kill la Kill, but they did that from like an absurdist aspect when they did Kill la Kill. Whereas this tries to play itself too straight. And the problem is, like, Kiznaiver requires, like, storytellers who are willing to play things realistic and down to earth, and that is not Trigger. Trigger is all about absurdism. Trigger is all about, like, ostentatiousness. Trigger is all about, like, being in your face and loud and exciting. They're very good at, like, action. They're very good at like dynamic animations. Character drama is not what I would associate with Studio Trigger, and I think they really got out of their depth when they tried to do this. Is the big thing. Like, I think the characters are too out there, too crazy, too wild, too in some areas archetypical in order to properly deliver the story. And I have to sort of agree with a Crunchyroll comment that I saw when I was watching this on Crunchyroll, which is that the moral of Kiznaiver is that emotional communism doesn't work. And, like, yeah, of fucking course emotional communism doesn't work. It's a stupid idea on paper. I think there are storytellers, I think there are studios that could have done it. But I don't think Trigger was the one to try and do this. I don't think the Trigger creators, which spawned off of like a dissatisfaction with Gainax, were the ones to do it. I think you could have done. I think the two studios that could have pulled this off are KyoAni. I think Kyoto Animation could have like done a Kiznaiver story pretty well, and I definitely would have given this over to PA Works. Because emotional character drama is sort of those two studios' jam. I think they could have done a fantastic job. But I think Trigger is just not... I think, like, even if you look at other Trigger failures, like Darling in the Franxx, for example... Like, Darling in the Franxx is at least interesting in concept. Whereas emotional communism requires such a degree of level of writing quality for the characters and their interactions and their dynamics that I feel like Kiznaiver just doesn't fully explore or get into. I think the characters are too out there and too different. In order to actually like properly explore the themes. I think if they were more realistic, and I'm usually the last person that says like a series needs more realism, but Kiznaiver needed more grounding and realism in order to make itself work, and I think I think it just doesn't. I think it does not get there. I also think it's a little short. I think it underexplores its topic. Because the idea is that they're only Kiznaivers for the first summer, and then they disconnect. And then you have that scene in the rain where they're all screaming, "I'm in pain," because they're all feeling each other's emotional traumas. And I think this definitely needed more time in the oven. Like, instead of just summer, I think a full year would have worked better. Even with like the craziness of the characters, I think at least an extension in time where we get to see more character arcs. I feel like they're undercooked. I felt like they were underdeveloped. I felt like the plot went by too quickly. I feel like there's a lot of issues. I think the end game where who turned out to be the villain where like the villain turned out to be like the girl that was causing the experiments. I think that's totally justified, but I think we needed more lead up to that. I think we needed more foreshadowing with her relationship with the main character. I definitely think that Kiznaiver needed more time to cook or a different studio. Like I said, PA Works or KyoAni could have pulled this off, but like Trigger doesn't have the staff to write a character dynamic, like heavy focus on this. Like it's the problem is it's like awkward is the thing. It's too muted to be a Studio Trigger work based on like their other works like fucking Inferno Cop or Kill la Kill or like Space Patrol Lulico, but it's too like it's too understated, right? But in order to make like intense character drama work, it's too over the top. Like they hit that sweet spot of just not functional is the problem. And yeah, I think Kiznaiver was a fucking mess. I can see why it's considered to be like because at least when Darling in the Franxx is fucking bad, it's bad in a semi-interesting way. You know what I'm saying? Whereas Kiznaiver is sort of just like bad in a bad way. Like you can see what they were going for and they didn't fucking pull it off. Like Kiznaiver was a botch at the bare minimum. What were your opinions on Kiznaiver? Because you all definitely watched it. Leave that shit in chat or in the comments, depending on whether you're watching live or you're watching the video. I'm being ironic. I know no one's going to chat anything because I know no one watched Kiznaiver like you were fucking supposed to because no one participates at Dartboard. Alright. Let's get on with this shit. As a reminder, when I pull up the Wheel of Names, I will not be able to read... I will be able to read chat. I'm a liar. I can actually see it on my OBS. Don't let me lie to you. Here we go. Wheel of Names. We're going to shuffle. 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 Oh, I watched a bunch of Garbo. I mistook this for Meikaku City Actors. Meikaku City Actors, that's fair, by the way. Might actually be on this list. I actually think Meikaku City Actors is on the Dartboard list. So, best case scenario, you're prepared for next month. And click. I hope this is either Meikaku City Actors or Rin Daughters of Mezzanine. This is the tennis anime, right? Ipote? I think Ipote is the tennis anime. Yeah, this is definitely the tennis anime. Ipote is animated by Studio Zebek. That does not say Ipote, does it? Actually, it might. It actually does. I'm stupid. This is an action comedy, ecchi, theme military demographic setting. So this is adult men only for clear. 24 episodes. This doesn't look like this would be a 24 episode anime. This looks like this would be a 12-minute episode anime. There's also another series called Ipote Warate, which is an OVA bundled with the 4th volume of the manga. The girls here are kind of chunky. Not that there's anything wrong with that, because they're animated. But they definitely seem a little chunky. Adult men only. Well, it's a good thing I have no interest in tennis. This is also clearly tennis. What with this fucking giant assault rifle? This is clearly a tennis thing. This is directed by Takao Kato, who also directed... He did the sound effects for Princess Mononoke. That actually is an accomplishment. He directed To Love Ru. He directed Pandora Hearts. He directed this thing. He was the chief director of whatever this is, which is on my plane to watch list. More Than a Married Couple, But Not Lovers, which was a 2022 anime. So this man is still in the business. Good for fucking him. He directed Triage X, which I don't know. He directed Basu Renkin. This man has been around a while. This man clearly, I would say this man is like B tier. As far as like if we look at like what caliber of anime, he's clearly like generally in charge of B tier anime. Like not C tier where everyone hates it, but clearly like not like top billing, you know? So we have Rot.exe, which is Mega Man Battle Network. That's Mega Man Battle Network. One of the worst video games I've ever played. He did... What else did he do? He did... Bakuratsu Hunters OVA. Good for him. He was an assistant director on Blue Seed. He's been around for a while, actually. This is not a rookie director. This is very clearly like a B-list director. He's like the Lucy Liu of directors. He did Gedling, which... I have seen Gedling. And I want you to know that, remember I mentioned I have a stock of Garbo anime to be released? I didn't say this. I have a stock of Garbo anime to be released. Like I have 10 Garbo anime to be released in the event that I don't manage to watch an anime in a week. And Gedling is one of these. Oh, I remember Gedling. This is about the fairy girl. Yeah. He directed Gedling. He's fine then, I guess. Anyway, Upote. What the fuck is Upote about? Let's get on with it. Kiss. Bang Bang. The arms race takes on a startling new development when the arms come with heads and legs and very feminine bodies attached. Let's be real. If an AK had a vagina, I'd fuck it. Ha ha! Yes, at Seisho Academy, every girl is literally a lethal weapon, and they're all gunning for the top shot at their own personal servicemen. Needless to say, it's going to be difficult for a newly recruited human instructor, Genkoku, to adjust working with a living arsenal of high-caliber cuties with tricky names like FNC, Funko, M16, A4, Ichiroku, L85A1 Iru, and SG550 Shigu. Especially, you can tell I've never heard of these guns because I had said them wrong. Especially since many have hair triggers and there's no bulletproof vest that can stop determined co-ed. Stop a really determined go-ahead. I was actually going to criticize the grammar of this synopsis, and then I realized I just read it wrong because I was drunk. He'll have to rewrite the operator's manual on the student-teacher relationships and pray that his job description won't include having a field strip and reassemble one of his cassettes in the dark. But unfortunately for him, FNC's already thinking about becoming his personal weapon, and she's unusually gets what she's aiming for. So this sounds like the plot of a super niche visual novel. It's an ONA based on a manga, licensed by Sentai Filmworks. So good fucking luck watching it, assholes. Huh? Oh no, never mind. It's streaming on Crunchyroll. Never mind. You'll be able to watch it without any problem. All right. So the basic, from what I'm getting from this, is it's an ONA. It's streaming on Crunchyroll. You can watch this on Crunchyroll. And the idea is anthropomorphic guns want to fuck their teacher and they're in high school. And specifically, FNC really, really wants to fuck her teacher. Now, I am going to say this, because this is plot related, which means Sober Sack. I'm looking at you, Sober Sack. You can't cut this fucking out. Drunk Sack's going rogue. Is FNC fuckable? I've seen more fuckable guns, is what I'll say. I've seen guns I would fuck harder than Funko. I love that the Mal page, on the other hand, gives you the exact details of how the gun works. Rifle rate 8.47 pounds. Carbine is 8.2 pounds. Extended stock 30.2 inches folded. Jesus Christ. Anyway, I would expect everyone to watch Upote. Remember, you're watching Upote. You don't have to watch Upote Warate, which I will probably watch. And I might mention at the end whenever the next episode of this podcast comes up. But you do not have to watch Wapate Miate Warate. You don't have to watch that. You just have to watch Upote. So watch Upote. I expect everyone to have watched Upote by the next episode of the Cold Topic Podcast. Excuse me. And that's the end of this segment. I'm going to cut that burp out. I know I am. Because I'm going to be sober and I'm going to be like, that was gross. Why would I leave that in? And then I would hear myself say that I'm going to cut that out. And I'm like, well, then I'm definitely going to cut that. Why the fuck would I leave that in then? Anyway, so we still have a little booze left. So let's talk about what are my thoughts on the artworks of H.R. Giger. I think Giger's dead. That's my first thought. I think Giger's dead. I actually don't... Okay, so controversially, I don't really like Giger's artwork all that much. I know there's a market for it. Mama Sack is, like, literally Giger is Mama Sack's favorite artist. But I don't, like, I know he's, like, likes portraying his artwork as, like, vaguely phallic. And what is the opposite of phallic? What is, like, the vaginal equivalent of phallic? I'm going to look up what the opposite of phallic is. What is the opposite of phallic? Yonic. We're learning words here. So, I know Giger liked to make his artworks very phallic and yonic. And the idea is to play off of a sort of almost like sadossexual like artwork design. The thing is, like, I get it. I get what he's doing. It doesn't work on me. And I think if it works on you, that's good. I think it's doing its job. But, like, it doesn't work on me, which is weird. And, like, I've told enough, like, crazy sex stories on the podcast that everyone knows I'm no prude. I'm no, like, asexual. So it's almost weird that I'm, like not affected by, like, Giger's artwork. Like, I know the design is to play into sort of the, like, inherent horniness of humanity, but, like, I don't know. It just doesn't speak to me. And I get that with, like, some artwork, and as crazy as it sounds, I think a lot of my, like, favorite artwork types are, like, either postmodernist, which I know a lot of people don't like postmodernism, but I'm very into postmodernism. Like, you put a fucking urinal in an art museum, and I'm like, that's fucking art, my dog. But I also like, whatever fucking, like, Renaissance art style Michelangelo used. What did Michelangelo use? Michelangelo. I want the artist. I liked Michelangelo's art style. I consider Michelangelo probably the greatest artist of all time. Michelangelo. This man had a last name. Buonarroti. Buonarroti. Anyway, yeah, what was Michelangelo's art style? He was inspired by classical antiquity. His movement was high Renaissance and mannerism. I would say probably my favorite, like, top art styles are mannerism and probably postmodernism, which are like I think a lot of people can agree with like mannerism, but like most people would be like, what the fuck? Everyone hates postmodernism, but I actually love the question of what is or is not art, which is a major focus of postmodernism. Like I said, you put a fucking urinal in an art museum, I'm fucking gaga for that shit. And yeah, so the sort of like sadossexual art style of like Giger, I don't know, it really doesn't do anything for me. And even as someone with like an admittedly crazy high libido and sex drive, like I don't know, I just like I don't like, I get Giger, I get what it does, but I'm not a fan of him, is the thing. I don't like his art style. I don't like his like phallic yonic art style. I don't find it like, even like considering the fact that like the idea is to play off of like psychosexual ideals, and it like not having an effect on me, I will have to say that like even like in concept, like I don't find it specifically aesthetically pleasing. I will give him like full credit for his like creation of many like famous art pieces. Like he's very famously like the designer of the Alien, which is like kind of cool looking. It's very clearly a penis, but and like there's a lot of like video games that are inspired by the art styles of H.R. Giger. So like I can respect him as an artist, but I can also say that like the styles and like artwork of Giger are not for me. They are not sack styled artworks. Like sort of like postmodernist Je ne pas pipe or fucking creation of Adam would be, which I know are so, like I said, so wildly different in art styles, but I think there's something to be said for such an extreme level of technical skill versus I would say that like my defaults for what like qualify as like my highest form of art are like insane levels of technical skill where I'm like, I can appreciate this on just like the sheer level that we're required to do this, versus like the level where it's like I like the philosophical debate about like what is or is not art, right? And I think postmodernism in a way is sort of an expansion on earlier art styles like cubism, which is, or like abstractism, which is sort of like off kilter, sort of like not fully like one-to-one like art styles. I think the questioning of the concept of art itself, because as I have defined in my own art videos, like art is essentially a creative expression. I was a lot more precise, but like art is essentially a creative expression, and like calling into question the concept of those creative expressions is I think totally valid, and I think it's also part of the point of art. Like it's very like niche edge art, where I think that like I think in a way like I think it like postmodernism hits that like very specific like niche, like that very edge of art where it's like, is this art? Like I think asking is this art is what makes postmodernism art, is what I'm saying. Like where the line causes. It's almost a sort of semantic argument from an aesthetic perspective. I have finished my booze. Anyway, Maid, I hope that has answered your question on what I think about the art style of H.R. Giger. Yeah. I'm sure I said this. Mama Sack's a huge fan. She had like an art book of him or whatever. She was like, oh yeah, Giger's like the best. And I'm like, I don't really care. Anyway. Yeah, hopefully everyone had a good time. Remember to watch Upote. Watch Upote. We'll be finishing, I assume we'll be finishing Digimon by the end of the month. I hope. Maybe early April, bare minimum. But yeah, hopefully everyone had a good time. Excuse me. I have been Sacrabalic, your own wife Hope. and I have been awake for over 24 hours. I have the flu, and I am very drunk. I will... This one was half the length of the other episode. Probably because we didn't watch a video or anything. But anyway, yeah. Bye-bye. Leave this in. Sober Sack, you leave me pointing to Nanashi floating away with an umbrella. You leave this shit in. I demand it. That was a Matrix reference.